Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. Today I'm making, or trying for the first time to make, this braised tofu that's marinated that I've purchased at H Mart before, and it's really good. And I found the recipe online and I'm just kind of winging it. So this is just a block of firm tofu, drained and patted dry, cut into triangles, and I'm browning it on both sides until it's lightly golden brown with a neutral oil like avocado oil or vegetable oil. Here I'm using avocado oil. Once that's done, I put it on a paper towel lined plate, and I'll show you that right here. Okay, so here's some that I had already pan fried, and I put it on a paper towel so that it can drain any excess oil. You have to let it cool to room temperature, and then I'll show you the marinade, which I really also winged. Hang on. I winged it. It's not, by the way, this is not authentic to the actual Korean recipe for the braised tofu or the marinated stewed tofu that they sell, but this is what I had on hand. So I took the recipe from online, and then whatever I happen to have on hand is what I used, and I'll show you what I used. Okay, here's what I mean by winging it. So I saw the recipe online, which I can share with you in the description of the video if you want it, or in the comments if you want the recipe, the original recipe. So here's what I used, what I had on hand. So I used a teaspoon of this gochujang. I used about a drizzle of this as well. It's a Korean gochujang sauce, but it has, has multiple ingredients. I also got this at Trader Joe's. Then I used a drizzle of this because the recipe called for sesame oil, and that's all I had. And it also called for Korean chili flakes, which I didn't have. So this was kind of a 2-for-1 kind of thing that I used instead. I used a cup of this reduced sodium soy sauce. I used 1/8 of a cup of these sesame seeds, or just like kind of just sprinkled it, whatever works. I used a drizzle of this, and I also, for whatever reason, just took a little bit of the water of this and just poured it in. Oh, and I used about 5 or 6 sprigs of scallions chopped finely, and I'll show you the mix. Here's all the ingredients combined. Look at that. That looks pretty cool, right? I think it looks good, and then also it smells really good, so I'm hopeful that this will be good. So what you do next, so that's the mix. Let me remove this batch and I'll be right back. Okay, so I just pulled the second batch off. Looks like that, and I have the last remaining little bits right there, just because the recipe had said not to overcrowd the pan. So now what I'm going to do is let this go to room temperature. Needs a little bit more time, and then I'm going to layer it in a baking pan. I'm not going to bake it though, I'm layering it in this baking pan in layers, and then letting it cool and putting it in the refrigerator overnight for 6 to 8 hours to fully marinate, and then eat. You can eat it with sushi rice, you could eat it with rice, you could eat it with seaweed, which is what I usually do, and it's really good. I'll show you the final once I layer it all in the dish. Okay, here's the first layer all set up at the bottom of this. The dish looks like this, and I'll show you when I pour over the marinade. I'm doing it in layers. It's a small rectangular dish. It happens to be what I want to use, but you could use a wider dish and do it all in one layer. Okay, so now I'm mixing this up one last time, so before I pour it. Okay, now we're gonna pour it. Just be mindful of how much you use, only because you want to make sure you coat everything. So that's the first layer done.